No significant growth expected in the Barbadian economy this year. The Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry gets some advice on its role in birth. And coming up in sports, Gabriel and Dowrich recover from injuries ahead of the second test in Antigua.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Shane Jones, leading the news at 7. Barbados' economy is not expected to see any significant growth for 2019. This was revealed in the latest review of economic performance delivered by Central Bank Governor Cleviston Haynes earlier today. Sharika Griffith has that story.
The central bank's latest report forecasts flat growth for the year ahead. Central Bank Governor Cleviston Haynes says the actual degree of economic activity will largely depend on the ability to get several investment projects off the ground.
Tourism is expected to perform favorably due to an anticipated expansion of airlift, special events like the English Cricket Tour, and an increase in ships docking at the port. This activity will be supported by the thrust towards Barbados emerging as a hub for medical education. The need to sustain the fiscal consolidation effort could continue to dampen economic activity. However, this trend can be reversed through higher levels of private sector investment. Several projects in the tourism, healthcare, and distribution sectors have been identified for startup in 2019. The actual commencement date of these projects will influence the degree of expansion in real economic activity.
The report also describes 2018 as a challenging year for the Barbados economy. As predicted in the bank's reports in October, the economy continued to contract during the last 3 months of the year.
Real economic activity contracted by 0.6% in 2018 as moderate gains in tourism were outweighed by the fall-off in manufacturing and other services. Tourism output slowed to an estimated 0.6% from 2.2% in 2017. Long-stay arrivals were 2.8% higher than the previous year, owing to intensive marketing and an increase in airlift. However, the expansion in the sector was contained because the average length of stay declined, a result of the increase in the shorter staying visitors from the United States market.
Public finances improved significantly between April and December 2018. However, revenues were $56 million below target due to larger than anticipated tax refunds, the impact of lower imports, and a lag in collection from some of the recently implemented budgetary measures.
Government provided refunds of $54 million in income tax and $18 million in the value-added tax, resulting in lower than anticipated net earnings from income tax and VAT. Excise revenue and import duties also declined. However, the new fuel tax realized $35 million during the period. Revenue from property taxes surpassed the target by $17 million, given the collection from the tax amnesty. Corporate taxes also overperformed, despite $26 million in refunds, owing to significant first-time payments by recently registered international business companies. The foreign exchange fee yielded $56 million in tax receipts over the period.
The average unemployment rate fell slightly to 9.2% for the first 9 months of the year. However, public sector layoffs impacted unemployment in the fourth quarter. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Thank you, Sharika. A suggestion tonight that the development agenda in the region needs to be changed. According to Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley, what currently exists is archaic and disadvantageous to small island states like Barbados. According to Ms. Motley, more emphasis must be placed on re-education and redevelopment of the youth. The Prime Minister was speaking at the third meeting of the Clinton Global Initiative Action Network on post-disaster recovery in Puerto Rico. She was invited by former President of the United States of America, William Bill Clinton, to take part in the closing session with the theme, Fortifying the Future of the Caribbean Economy. Ms. Motley made the point that small islands are often unequally yoked in dealing with development matters in a global forum.
Part and parcel of our problem in the region is that the region has been invited on numerous occasions to pursue paths, and then when they get good at it, the developed world says, nope, stop, change, we're not allowing you to do that anymore, as has happened with financial services. And part of the difficulty for us is that we continue to be unequally yoked in a global discussion. We have finance talking to Treasury. state talking to foreign affairs, security talking to security. But leaders don't talk to each other. So you're unequally yoked in the conversation, and therefore those matters that affect development cannot be pursued, and then we complain that it's a breeding ground for terrorism or that there's underdevelopment. It can't work. Or that we're not benefiting collectively in how we can fight climate change and the worst elements of it.
Prime Minister Motley notes that most of the region's economies at present are in a volatile state and care must be taken to ensure they remain buoyant. She suggests that the situation in Venezuela, if not handled properly, could have serious repercussions for these already challenged economies.
What is happening in Venezuela is just another example. We are neither for Maduro or against Maduro. We are neither for Guaido or against him. But guess what? We stand to suffer if there is foreign military intervention in Venezuela tomorrow. And even though we talk about the humanitarian crisis, which we know is real, the bottom line is that there are still 26 million people who have been left in Venezuela after the 3 million have left. And can any kind of intervention without dialogue lead to any kind of stability that will ultimately be to the benefit of the Venezuelan people or to us in the southern and eastern Caribbean?
A young man is in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital after sustaining a number of machete chops to the head in Bridgetown earlier today. According to police reports, the youth is identified as 20-year-old Deshaun Fagan of Mason Hall Street, St. Michael. He was involved in an altercation with an unknown man around 5 minutes after 11 this morning in the Constitution River Terminal in the city. Lawmen say as a result, Fagan suffered some lacerations about the head and was transported to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital for treatment. CBC News understands that the man involved in the incident subsequently fled the scene. When a team visited the area, there were a few PSVs in the terminal and a sparse crowd was on hand. Small traces of blood on the ground was the only indicator that the incident occurred. Police are asking anyone who can provide information that can assist in the investigations to contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477. Leader of government business in the Senate, Senator Dr. Jerome Walcott, says the new administration has to be commended for moving to introduce legislation to improve the operations of the Town and Country Planning Department. Dr. Walcott, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade during the second reading of the Planning Development Bill 2019, revealed the government gave a commitment in its manifesto and moved to fulfill it mere months in office. He sees the legislation as the most far-reaching reforms so far.
The entire orientation of the planning process is going to have to change. Decisions on denial or requiring conditions to a planning application will now have to be given in short and specific time frames. And all of this must be explained, and it can be challenged and must pass, at the end of the day, pass the test of equal and fair treatment to all persons. It is obvious that planning decisions will follow from a plan that, as I said earlier, will promote sustainable development of Barbados while protecting our natural environment.
Dr. Walcott says the most fundamental change will be the role of the Town and Country Planning Office.
As not simply as a regulator, but as a facilitator of sustainable development in Barbados. That they will see themselves as partners in the development of Barbados, and not only in terms of the limited regulation. The bill introduces the concept of provisional refusal, where clear explanations will be given on changes to a refused application. And this is something that's new. Normally you'll be told after so many weeks that your application is refused without any explanation. And some persons have gone through the process of reapplying again and having that denied without ever being told what or how they could have avoided it.
Opposition Senator Caswell Franklin, who opposes the bill, made it clear he will not be silenced in the Senate. Mr. Franklin was later cautioned by the president about his tone and comments made before Sir Richard Cheltenham ordered them struck from the records. Senator Franklin accused the government of not following standard procedures with respect to legislation, suggesting it need not be rushed.
They are rushing legislation in this place. They are not giving, certainly the opposition, enough advance notice to go through these things to see if we can make suggestions to make them better. What you are doing, you're rushing it, and then you're getting it wrong.
Well, Independent Senator Althea Wiggins suggests the government is trying to put Barbados on a sound footing through legislation being introduced. She doesn't share the notion the legislation is being rushed.
As you know, we are now with the IMF and so on, and there's certain things that have to be done and done in an appropriate time. I too heard the minister from the other place on brass stats, and I heard her as well on television, and she was very eloquent, I find, in terms of the explanations and the questions that she fielded in relation to this bill. And I think that this bill is going to, with everything else as it comes through, you might have to tweak it along the way, because sometimes we don't always get it right the first time. Life is not perfect.
The island's top jurist has been commenting on the importance of alumni associations to the development of schools. Chief Justice Sir Marston Gibson was speaking at a ceremony to honor the first two recipients of the Foundation Old Scholars Scholarship Fund. The fund was set up back in 2015 to help students who were leaving school and wanted to attend the University of the West Indies but had difficulty paying the 20% tuition fee that was being asked at the time. Acknowledging this would have been a hardship for many, a group of old scholars, including Sir Marston, got together to set up the scholarship, which has so far disbursed some $69,000 to students. The Chief Justice says it is a duty to help your former school.
We in the Caribbean are still struggling with developing that spirit of alumni, meaning the understanding that if you have benefited from having attended an institution, that it is not a question of whether you should. It is your bounden duty, your obligation to help. I can tell you that and we always think of that all we have to give is money. As William said, no, time is important too.
For students to qualify for the scholarship, they had to achieve academic excellence and contribute to school life. The two who met that requirement in 2015 were Shante Hart, an aspiring accountant, and Joshua Wiggins, who pursued the sciences.
I was surprised that I got the scholarship. I was relieved and happy that we did not have to worry about paying the full cost of uni. Most importantly, I was proud of myself because I worked very hard and I was chosen for the scholarship, which was much unexpected.
My success at KFO wasn't to be simply a reflection of my own aptitude. No, it was to honor the support that I was given and to show that it was well appreciated. Suffice to say, I made that first class honors happen.
Alcohol, marijuana, and crack cocaine are the main drugs which Barbadians have been using. This was one of the findings listed in the 2016 Barbados Drug Information Network, or BARDIN report, that was released earlier today. While lauding BARDIN and the NCSA for their efforts, Home Affairs Minister Edmund Hinkson notes there is still room to curb the drug abuse trends shown in the study.
It also shows that along with alcohol, crack cocaine is having a greater impact on older persons. In addition, as it relates to marijuana, the findings underscore that this is the illegal drug of choice among adolescents and young adults. Marijuana also continues to be the main drug capturing the attention of law enforcement officials, both in terms of seizures and arrests.
Minister Hinkson also reiterated government's commitment to stamp out illegal drugs.
The government of Barbados is committed to protecting its citizens from the scourge of illegal drugs, which negatively impacts our quality of life, whether in terms of communities, families, or individuals. We will place all available resources to reduce the illicit importation, use, and misuse of drugs and other narcotic substances.
Barbados is this evening reaffirming its commitment to the International Labour Organization and what it represents. This, as the international governing labour body, marks its centennial achievement. Permanent representative of Barbados to the ILO, His Excellency Chad Blackman, says it was an honor for Barbados to be a member of the body. He says Bridgetown was optimistic the vision of lasting peace and social justice within the global labour force could be realized. The ambassador stressed government is cognizant of new and emerging labour challenges that will need to be addressed going forward. Speaking at the official launch of the ILO centenary, Ambassador Blackman encouraged the ILO to continue to be a champion for these higher principles. Former Prime Minister Professor Owen Arthur wants to see employment opportunities created for locals of countries benefiting from Chinese development aid. He stressed this had not been the case in the past and believes it needs to change.
China's loans and investment abroad seem, as a rule, to be designed as far as possible to be implemented to generate employment opportunities for Chinese workers. And this obtains even in instances where the beneficiary countries are faced with high levels of unemployment. This is not acceptable, nor is it sustainable as a basis of a mutually beneficial relationship between China and its partners.
Professor Arthur's comments came as he took part in a UWI symposium which examined the implications of the China Belt and Road Initiative for the Caribbean. During his presentation, he lauded the BRI, which he says has and will continue to boost global trade. The former Prime Minister also believes the BRI fills the void of development funding which Caribbean countries once faced.